What extent should you go to save a life? A life is important, but is too much pain too much to risk? What if it doesn't work? Ethically, is that too much to put a person through? Or is one life lost too short too much? Welcome to another intriguing episode of All Things Mysterious, the podcast where all the realms of true crime, supernatural, and the unexplained converge. I'm your host, Jordan.
Hi, Matt.
We're ready to plunge into today's fascinating mysteries. Let's dive right in. John Jones and his brother Josh had recently gotten back into spelunking, which is a more fun word for exploring caves. John was just 26 years old when he and his brother decided to go with a bunch of friends to explore the Nutty Putty Cave, a cave known for its many systems and rooms such as the maze, the birth canal, and the slide. While John and Josh were newer to spelunking in their adult years, their family had gone a lot in their childhood, so they weren't new to cave exploration at all and were really excited. The group set out around 8 p.m. on November 24th, 2009.
I'm gonna be honest. I hate cave stories. I hate caves in general. It is the only time that I'm actually claustrophobic.
I don't mind caves as long as I don't go through anything tiny. I think caves are really cool, but learning about this cave and all the tiny itty bitty little tunnels you have to go through and stuff, no thanks. No. All
I,
the no.
I have a hard time going to Fantastic Caverns, and my kids love going there, but I don't like caves. For the people that don't know, Fantastic Caverns is a cave system in Springfield. It's the idea of the cave collapsing and you getting buried alive.
Yeah, but it's been there for so long and it's been fine. The likelihood of something happening is so small.
That's what they say about every single cave, and then it ends up happening.
There's not that many stories about caves unless people do something stupid.
I know a little bit about this one, and yeah, no, thank you. No,
I think caves are fascinating.
I'm not saying they're not fascinating. I just don't want to go in them.
I am less terrified of caves than I am like the ocean. I will happily go explore a cave. No, water scares me to death. No, I'll happily go into a cave. I'm good with a cave.
I love the ocean too. Not like the middle of the ocean.
Nope, I don't know what's in there. I don't have a clue. I'll go into a cave first, thanks.
I wouldn't even go in a cave. I've gone in caves, but I just don't like it.
You'll be fine.
No, thank you. Caves. No, I'm good.
The Nutty Putty Cave is what's called a hydrothermal cave, and it's located about 55 miles south of Salt Lake City, Utah. Hydrothermal caves are known for their small passageways into larger rooms, clay like material, and warm temperatures. This particular cave was common for both amateur and professional cavers to explore because of its complexity. It was both easy to get into and out of, but challenging enough inside for professionals to explore. Unfortunately, the Nutty Putty Cave will no longer be explored, as explained in just a few moments.
So still, cave stuck. Could just copy and paste exactly what I said before because I do not like caves. Spelunking to me is just not something that sounds fun.
See, I think it sounds exciting.
If you ever hear that I disappear while spelunking, look into that. I was not doing it.
You were murdered, for sure. But it's good to know, though, like looking back, that people who weren't professionals explored this all the time. This isn't a cave that was strictly for the best of the best, you know? Just knowing this before I go into everything else, a lot of people went and explored this cave. Thousands of people every year explored this cave and came out of it just fine. So, when I'm going into my next few sections, keep that in mind.
Yeah. Everything can go well for millions of years, and then it's just that one time.
To be fair, this was not the cave's fault.
It's always the cave's fault.
It's not the cave's fault. The cave didn't do anything wrong.
The cave totally did something wrong. All the cave's fault. Next thing we're going to hear about someone trying to prosecute a cave.
Probably. The first hour of cave exploration went great. The whole group found the area called the Big Slide, and then John, Josh, and two others broke off to see if they could find the birth canal. It's basically just like it sounds, a very small opening that you slide through and ends in a large room. Josh found a small opening, started sliding in head first, but something wasn't quite right because the opening wasn't getting bigger and John was just getting stuck. Thinking maybe he just was bigger than most people that tried to get through the birth canal, he pressed forward. But that was not the issue. John was not in the birth canal. He'd passed the entrance to it and was in a room somewhere around Ed's push. And as far as people know, the little fissures lead nowhere. And they're only about 10 inches by 18 inches at the opening, getting smaller as it goes deeper. When John realized he was well and truly stuck, he called to his brother for help.
Wasn't this the one where he went down the fissure, but then it dropped down and he ended up sliding down head first?
Kind of. So, I guess when people go into the birth canal, like, it's kind of a thing to go in head first because it's called the birth canal. And so, otherwise, I guess it's like a common thing. You don't ever go into something head first. But because he thought it was the birth canal, he went head first. Otherwise, a big cave thing is you always go in feet first. But instead, he went head first. And it started at an angle and then it almost went like straight down.
Yeah, that's where he actually got stuck.
And yeah, that's where he really got stuck.
Because I just remember that part.
Yeah, and it was like a 70-degree angle or something like that. He was almost completely upside down.
Yeah, that would suck.
Extremely uncomfortable, yes.
Obviously, I hate caves. I think we made that clear by this point. If not, I hate caves.
My big takeaway is don't go head first. Bad idea.
I get the idea of going head first because you want to be able to see where you're going, but something that small,
Well, and he thought that it was the birth canal, so he was going to slide out like on his stomach and come out into this big room. I've seen other pictures of people coming out of the birth canal like on their stomach, and it's like this big room and it's this big thing, and that's what he thought he was doing. Unfortunately, he wasn't where he thought he was. So naturally, Josh, his brother, tried to pull him out, but he was only able to get him out a few inches, and then John slid right back where he was. Panicking, his brother got out of the cave as fast as he could and called for help. Around midnight, the first rescuer came, and then more and more. The way John was situated made the rescue incredibly difficult. All they could see or grab were John's feet, and he was almost entirely upside down. They thought through several different plans. They tried to drill out the cave around him. They tried to pull him up. They even tried to put lube around him, seeing if they could pull him up that way. But they eventually decided on a pulley system, and even that was difficult because the ceiling above him wasn't high and there wasn't very much leverage. But rescuers continued on. John, however, was not doing great. Spending this much time upside down is very bad for your heart. He was having a very hard time breathing, but he was still talking. Rescuers continued on, though, determined to save him, trying everything they could.
obviously I'm not a rescue worker,
Accurate.
but I just think a situation like that where conventional methods won't work, I think you gotta think creatively and think outside the box.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you have to. And I think at the time they did the best they could, but I think they were kind of panicky.
But when you train someone to rescue people in a certain way, when that way fails, what do you do? Obviously, you can't train for the outlier situations that never happen.
You have a point.
And this is one of those situations, but obviously it can happen. So you think they would have some kind of contingency plans or something.
Well, I'm sure they've probably learned quite a few things about this one.
Maybe.
19 hours in, after the pulley system had finally been installed, the rescue team was able to pull John a little of the way up. They could even see his face. But on their fourth pull, one of the hooks gave and the pulley system snapped loose, dropping John even further into the fissure he'd been trapped in for so long. Until this point, John had been talking. They were able to send him a radio to talk to his wife, but this time around, John was quiet. They worked furiously, knowing time was running out, trying to drill a new keyhole for the pulley, but when medical personnel checked on him again 26 hours in, he was pronounced dead.
I think he died as he fell that time,
I don't think he did because there were people that still caught like breaths and like heartbeats,
allegedly.
allegedly. One of the rescuers, when the pulley system broke free, he actually got severely injured in the face. There were like 127 rescuers that came to help him, which is just unbelievable. But they couldn't find a way to get him out.
It sucks. I don't know. I hate this case.
It just makes me really sad, but I get it because they were trying not to do any more harm than had already been done. And he was already in such bad shape. And they had to run this pulley system through so many different caves, around turns, around everything else. And they had to drill into, cave rock, which is difficult to drill into. And they would have had to have broken his legs to really truly pull him out, I think, because of the depth of the cavern he was in.
Yeah, but broken legs are way better than death, though.
They are, but I'm wondering if he would have been able to physically handle that much more at that point. At the rate that his heart was already at and everything else, I don't know if he could have physically gone through much more at that point.
But here's the thing, I think in situations like this, doing nothing obviously leads to death. I think they realized that and knew that at that point.
Yeah, I mean, the pulley system, obviously, it was working until it broke. It was working how they had designed it to work until that one key system broke out of the rock and flung itself into the face of one of the rescuers, which just, can you imagine how much that would hurt? He had severe injuries. Like, no thanks.
Putting that system in took several hours. It wasn't a quick thing.
No, it wasn't. He
Just-
was still alive at that point.
My thing is obviously leaving him there and not doing anything is going to end up in death. The pulley system's not going to work again because you don't have the time to do it. Because honestly, at this point, they were kind of working with borrowed time.
They really were at that point, and they tried.
Because I know he lasted a lot longer than they expected him to.
He had a lot of try in his heart. He obviously did. He wanted to live.
But I think you have to look at it like, okay, so we got two options. Leave him there, he dies. That's a guarantee. We pull him out, break his legs, he may still die, but he may survive. To me, it's a no brainer because scenario A, you have zero chance of survival, and scenario B, you have a chance of survival. I don't understand why they didn't do that because a slim chance is better than no chance.
Yeah, it was just really, really rough for all of them. As it turns out, John was not the first person to get stuck in Nutty Putty Cave, just the first to be unable to be rescued. Several other people over the years had gotten stuck in the narrow passageways of the cave and had to call for rescue. But until John's death, none of them had been particularly life threatening. Now, the cave is permanently sealed and treated as a grave for John.
I don't understand the reasoning for leaving the body there.
The effort to try and get him back out.
I'm not a rescue worker. I don't deal with stuff like that. I will not go in caves like that. But it just doesn't make sense to me leaving the body there. The family's not going to get the full closure that they need in that situation.
Not 100%, but they also know where he is.
I'm just trying to think if I was in that situation, if that was one of my loved ones, it would just feel wrong leaving them in the cave.
It doesn't feel great, but to an extent, I do understand it because trying to get somebody out of that was just a body, I can't imagine. I mean, trying to get somebody alive out of that would be difficult.
Yeah, I just think getting a body out would be a lot easier than getting someone out alive.
Maybe out of the little fissure, but out of the rest of the cave, through all the little divots and other fissures and tunnels.
Oh, I mean, they would have had to do the same thing if he was alive. They would have had to put him on a
Yeah,
stretcher and
it's true. It's just difficult to think about.
I don't know. But if you ever guys hear about me dying in a cave, I was murdered.
I made him go. It was me,
Probably will be Jordan that murders me at one point.
probably. You probably made me irritated.
No joke. One day she brought me food while we were recording. Actually, her mom brought us food.
My mom's pretty great.
But a little voice in the back of my head said, maybe Jordan actually left this food here to poison me and murder me.
I ate the food too.
Why do you think I waited till you ate the food?
Why would I poison you? I need you. I can't produce the show by myself. I break everything.
I literally just have that in the back of my head. I'm like, Jordan's gonna murder me one of these days.
In other unrelated news, my mother is amazing.
She is. Way better than Jordan.
I agree with that.
Granted, that's a low bar,
Matthew! So, to what extent would you have gone to save John's life? A life is worth saving, but is it worth the pain? John's death will forever haunt the rescue workers that diligently tried to save him for 24 hours. And now, the Nutty Putty Cave will forever be his tomb. Thank you for joining us on this journey through all things mysterious. Your engagement is what makes this so rewarding. If you've enjoyed uncovering these mysteries with us, please show your support by liking, subscribing, and following us on your favorite listening platform. For more intriguing content and ways to stay connected, don't forget to check us out on our links in the description below. Your involvement is the key to unlocking more thrilling mysteries.
As always, we keep you guessing.